Today, we are going to talk about the murder of Egypt Covington, a young woman who was brutally killed in her own home in Michigan in 2017. Who were the three men who confessed to her murder, and what was their motive? How did the police manage to crack the case after years of frustration and dead ends? And how did Egypt's family and friends cope with the loss of their beloved daughter, sister, and friend? Egypt Covington was a 27-year-old singer and account manager who lived in a duplex in Van Buren Township, a suburb of Detroit. She was described by those who knew her as a beautiful, talented, and charismatic person who loved music, animals, and life.
Rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up.
She worked as a bartender at Fraser's Pub in Ann Arbor and had a large circle of friends and admirers. She was also in a relationship with Curtis Meadows, who she had met online and moved in with in 2016.
Egypt was beautiful. When she'd walk in a room, everybody noticed her.
On June 23, 2017, Curtis came home from work and found a horrifying scene. Egypt was lying on the floor of their living room, shot in the head and tied up with Christmas lights. She was already dead. Curtis called 911 and reported the crime, but the police had no leads or suspects. They initially believed that Egypt knew her killer and that the crime was not random. However, they could not find any evidence of a struggle, a robbery, or a motive. Egypt's family and friends were devastated and demanded justice, but the case went cold for more than 3 years. During that time, Egypt's loved ones did not give up hope. They organized marches, vigils, billboards, and social media campaigns to keep her memory alive and pressure the authorities to solve the case. They also received tips and clues from anonymous sources, some of which suggested that Egypt's murder was related to a drug deal gone wrong.
Today marks 1 week since Egypt Covington was found dead inside her home.
A medical examiner says she was killed from a single gunshot wound to the head.
They asked the Michigan State Police to take over the investigation from the Van Buren Police Department, hoping that a fresh perspective would lead to a breakthrough. In November 2020, their prayers were answered. The Michigan State Police announced that they had arrested 2 men in connection with Egypt's murder: Timothy Moore and Shandon Groom, both from Toledo, Ohio.
911.
I just showed up at my girlfriend's house, and I walked inside. She's there, tied up. She's dead.
And what's her name?
Egypt Covington. Jacqueline Egypt Covington.
They also identified a third suspect, Shane Evans from Sumter Township, Michigan, who had been released after an initial arrest but was later charged again. All 3 men were charged with first-degree murder and first-degree home invasion. The details of the case finally emerged in court in 2021. The prosecution revealed that Egypt's murder was a tragic case of mistaken identity and a botched robbery. According to the evidence, Shane Evans had tipped off his friends, Timothy Moore and Shandon Groom, about a neighbor of Egypt's who ran a legal marijuana business and had a large stash of cash and weed in his home. The 3 men planned to rob the neighbor, but they got the wrong address and broke into Egypt's duplex instead. They encountered Egypt, who was home alone, and shot her in the head. They then tied her up with Christmas lights, possibly to make it look like a personal or sexual crime, and fled the scene. The police were able to link the suspects to the crime through a combination of electronic data, witness interviews, and forensic evidence. They traced a blue truck that was seen near Egypt's home on the night of the murder to Timothy Moore, who had borrowed it from his cousin. They also found a cell phone that belonged to Shandon Groom at the crime scene, which contained text messages and calls with Moore and Evans. They also matched DNA from a cigarette butt and a glove found near Egypt's body to Moore and Groom, respectively. The 3 suspects eventually pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, avoiding a trial and a possible life sentence without parole.
She was a singer. She was a marketing representative. She was an aunt. She was a puppy mom. She was a light.
Shane Evans was the first to plead guilty in April 2020, won and was sentenced to 15 to 25 years in prison. Timothy Moore and Shandon Groom followed suit in July 2021 and are awaiting their sentencing in October 2021. The prosecution said that there were no other living persons responsible for Egypt's death, although they mentioned that another possible suspect had been shot and killed in another incident in Toledo, Ohio. Egypt's family and friends expressed mixed feelings about the outcome of the case. They were relieved that the killers had been caught and confessed, but they were also angry and disappointed that they had not been charged with first-degree murder, which would have carried a mandatory life sentence. They also felt that the sentences were too lenient and did not reflect the gravity of the crime. They said that they would continue to fight for justice and honor Egypt's legacy. Egypt Covington was a bright star who was taken away too soon. Her murder was a senseless and cruel act that shattered the lives of many people. Her story is a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of love. We hope that she rests in peace and that her killers face the consequences of their actions. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more true crime stories. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.
Like dying, but I promise you we'll bring the world to its feet and move mountains. Bring it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again.